Hello everyone, welcome to Pam's Passions. I created this page to share with you some of the things I enjoy: makeup, cooking, real talk. I welcome your feedback and I'm open to your suggestions for future videos. If you have any color combinations you'd like to see, a meal you're interested in watching me prepare, just let me know. I'm also happy to answer questions you may have. All right now, let's get started. Hello everyone and welcome back to Pam's Passions. So tonight we're going to have some tacos and tequila. Let's get started. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do fried fish or chicken or baked fish, so we're going to have a little bit of everything. So first we're going to get started with making our tempura batter for the fish. We need 3/4 cup of cornstarch, quarter cup of flour, a teaspoon of baking powder, when you use a half a teaspoon, you have to double it, and salt and pepper. So that was all of my dry ingredients, and now for the wet ingredients. 1 egg slightly beaten, and a half a cup of water. So you're going to mix the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients until you have a nice smooth batter. I like to use the whisk because it'll work out all of the lumps. Okay, now that we have this already, we're going to set it to the side and prep our fish. Okay, so I have my tempura batter sitting to the side, and I have about 3 cups of canola oil warming on the stove, and I have my oven on broil at 525. So let's season our fish. For the fish that I'm going to broil, I'm covering it with a little bit of olive oil. I don't mind getting my hands messy, but if you're one of those people that don't like stuff on your hands, you probably shouldn't be cooking, but you can use a basting brush if you like. And we're going to go with some 14 spice seasoning, which has a little bit of everything. Has a combination of citrus, Italian seasonings, onion, garlic, no salt. Some smoked paprika. And some chili and lime seasoning. The chili and lime seasoning has salt in it, so we won't add any additional salt to the fish. I'm going to liberally season each side. sure it gets in there really well. And the fish that I'm using is tilapia. You can use any type of white flaky fish. It's good for tacos. Halibut, snapper will work well. I've seen people use salmon, but I feel like you would want to grill a nice piece of salmon and eat it with some vegetables, not put it on a taco, but hey, go for it if you like. Okay, so our oven is ready to go. So I'm going to put the fish under the broiler for 10 minutes and then we're going to prep our fish for the tempura. So we want to have some nice chunks of fish. I'm not going to season it because I'm going to season it when it comes out of the oil. But since I already have some seasonings remnants left on my cutting board, no need to let that go to waste. So we have about a nice 2-inch chunk of fish here. You want to always make sure you have a very sharp knife. Dull knives cause you to cut your fingers. Sharp knives go right through the food with no problem. This section of the fish is much thinner than the other half, so we're just going to cut that into some small strips. Not really worrying about uniformity. I'm going to take this, put it over to the stove next to our tempura batter. So while our fish is in the broiler, we're going to get our chicken started. Earlier today, I marinated some chicken breast and some diced adobo peppers, garlic, and a little bit of olive oil. So we have our cast iron skillet that's already getting warm here. We're going to put about a tablespoon of olive oil in it. And we're going to get that going. And this is boneless, skinless chicken breast, but you can use chicken thighs, chicken breast, just depends on what type of meat you like. I like to use my cast iron skillet because it'll allow you to get a nice little crust on the chicken and good color, good presentation. I'm just going to scrape in the rest of that marinade to coat the chicken while it's in the pan. No need to let it go to waste. So let's check on our fish. Looking good so far. So we're going to give this a little flip. And we're going to let this cook for about 4 more minutes. And while that fish is in the oven, let's get started with our tempura. As I said before, if you don't like your hands to get messy, cooking may not be for you. But let's get started. We're going to dredge the fish in the tempura batter. Make sure it's covered fully and then right into the grease. We're going to do about 5 or 6 pieces at a time to not crowd our pan. While that's going, we'll drop our next few pieces in there to be ready for the next go round. And we're going to turn our chicken. Normally you'll see the center of the pan that's closest to the eyelet is the hot spot of the pan. So if you have a cut of meat that's a little thicker than the others, you want to make sure that one is placed in the middle. Our fish is starting to sizzle, so we're just going to give that a little toss. And we're going to let that cook for about 3 more minutes. Now we need to get our broiled fish out of the oven. And we're going to place it in the warmer. So our broiled fish is done, our tempura is going, and our chicken is looking good. So let's start with some of our toppings. So I like the broccoli sauce. It's broccoli, carrots, and red cabbage. So we're going to toss some of that with some chipotle lime vinaigrette. And we want to add just enough dressing so that our vegetables have some flavor, but we don't want them to be too soggy. We want to have a nice crisp bite. I'm going to grab a tasting spoon and see if we need to add any salt and pepper to this. So I added a little bit more dressing, and now we're going to taste. Perfect. No need for salt and pepper. Now we're going to work on our second topping. For those of you that don't like broccoli, we have regular coleslaw. So one thing you'll get to notice about me is that I don't like measuring things. But since I know you're going to try to make these things behind me, I'll do my best to try to give you a guideline as to how much I'm using. But I like to do things by taste, by color, and by feel, not a 1/4 cup and a 1/2 cup, because you may not like that texture and you want to do it your own way. So for my coleslaw dressing, I follow my dad's recipe. We're going to have a little bit of mayo, some white sugar, apple cider vinegar, celery seed, and salt and pepper. For those of you that like a little extra kick, you can add some horseradish. Now as you can see, that's a little bit runny. So I'm going to add a little bit more mayonnaise. And we don't have any horseradish today, so we're going to kick it up a little bit with a little Dijon mustard. And we're going to chop some jalapenos to add to it for a little bit of spice. Now let's add our jalapenos to the dressing. These are pickled jalapenos. They usually have a little bit more spice. So we're going to start off with like 4 or 5 rings. Stir that up. And then we're going to give it a taste. Now, I'm not a big fan of a lot of heat, but I do like some spice. Now we're going to add our coleslaw mix. And we're just going to give that a little stir and sit it to the side. And the reason I like to make the dressing before I put the cabbage in there, because that gives me an idea as to how much cabbage I want to put in there, if I need to make a little bit more dressing, a little less, because I don't like soupy coleslaw. Okay, we need to get our last batch of fish out of the oil. So now we're taking out our last batch of tempura battered fish. And after each batch came out of the oil, we sprinkled a little bit of seafood Creole seasoning blend on it. Whenever you're making fried foods, you want to season it as soon as it comes out of the oil so that it'll allow the seasonings to adhere to the food. So now we have our broiled fish done, our tempura battered fish done, and we need to check the temperature on our chicken. To be safe, you want to make sure that your chicken is cooked to 165 degrees. And as I said before, the cast iron skillet allows you to get nice caramelization on your chicken. Okay, we're at 165. Cocktail time. So I have some limes, some mint, and some rosemary. First, we're going to slice the limes. First cocktail that we're going to have is going to be some pineapple and jalapeno tequila that I made. And this is Blanco tequila that's been infused with some pickled jalapenos and fresh pineapple. So we have 3 shots of the pineapple and jalapeno infused tequila. We're going to use 1 shot of the mango daiquiri mix. We're going to take a mint leaf. Let's add 2. Give that a little shake. And if you want to get a little fancy, you can make a rim for your glasses. So you have your cocktail glass. You take your lime, cut a little slice into it. This allows you to get the lime juice on the rim of the glass. And we're going to go with the savory rim for this drink since we have so many sweet ingredients. And we're going to use a little bit of Tajín seasoning. And I went to Mexico last year and this was on the daiquiri drinks that we had and it was really good. You're going to take your glass with the lime juice, spin it around on the plate. It gives you a nice little rim. Add some ice to the glass. You use that same slice of lime for a garnish. For those of you that want a lighter drink, you can add a splash of tonic water or a little bit of Sprite or ginger ale. But we're going to have our taste tester give it a try.
No ginger ale for me.
Now let's prepare our second cocktail. For this one, we're going to use some Reposado tequila, which is aged longer than the Blanco, hence the color. So for this drink, we're going to use some big ice cubes. So for this one, we're going to have 3 shots of Reposado tequila, some grapefruit soda. So we have our tequila in the glass. We're going to top it off with some grapefruit soda. And we're going to smoke a little bit of this rosemary. Get a little heat on it to bring the oils to the surface. And we can garnish this with a lime wedge as well. Take out the rosemary, the flavor should be in there, and we don't want anyone drinking sprigs of rosemary on a drink. All right, so we're going to pass this one along to our taste tester to give it a try as well.
No soda.
Now that our drinks are ready, we can get ready to plate our dinner. So now we're going to grill our tortillas to get ready to plate our tacos. So I'm hitting my griddle with a little bit of vegetable oil cooking spray. And since we have 3 different types of proteins, we're going to grill 3 shells. Once we have these ready to go, we're going to slice up some avocado, some tomato, chop up our chicken, and build our tacos. This is just to add a little bit more color and texture to your taco. Okay, so our tortillas are ready. We're going to take them off. So now we're ready to build our tacos. We're just going to finish a little bit of prep on our toppings. So I have a plum tomato here. We're going to dice up some of that. We have a half of avocado we're going to slice. Kind of soft. Just run the knife through that. We have some fresh cilantro and some green onion. Here's our chicken breast. We're going to give that a little chop. So the first taco that we're going to build is our chicken taco. A few pieces of chicken, some green onion, a little tomato, and our coleslaw. If you have someone that doesn't like coleslaw, you can use some shredded lettuce. I like the cabbage because it gives you a little bit more crunch. And we have some Fiesta cheese you can top it with. Or some cotija cheese, some white Mexican cheese. We're going to top this one with a little bit of Fiesta blend. second one we're going to build is our tempura battered fish. Three chunks of the fish. I'm going to add a little bit of the broccoli slaw, a slice of avocado, and a little bit of tomato. And the last taco will be the broiled fish. So as I said before, it's nice and flaky. So we'll just grab some chunks off. We're gonna do a little green onion with this one and some more broccoli slaw. And I also made some pickled onions earlier today, so we're gonna add a few of those. We're going to top this one with a little bit of cotija cheese. And some salsa. All right, let's have a taste. Delicious. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Let's have a drink.